and his music. He teaches music in the Paradise Valley School District. The roles of educator, minister, and musician are all callings that give service to society. But today, he will be focusing on teaching, the most dangerous profession. Welcome, Michael.
Education is a dangerous profession. First, there's the learner. When you learn something, it stays with you. So for it to stay with you, it has to have some great impact on you. For teachers, we know about this impact. We know how effective we are if we say the wrong things, or how ineffective we are if kids are not engaged. So whether we're the teacher or the learner, we're gaining some heavy insights into who we are. We want to know about ourselves, but learning more about who we are and who we can be frightful. We might have to change or grow, or perhaps choose not to do any of those things. In the movie Hitch, Will Smith plays a guy who educates men about how to date. He meets them in various stages of goofiness and awkwardness and helps focus them towards some real, lasting relationship. During the movie, he speaks into the camera to us, the audience, telling us his rules for life and how to get ahead, strategize relationships. He developed these rules. This is what he learned. This is what he teaches. Hitch, it turns out, had a really bad love life and has learned the hard way. Not the way you and I learn, in lecture halls or under the Bodhi tree with positive reinforcement and happy childhoods. Not like us. Hitch has learned through hardship. It is his pain that has taught him and has driven him to find and help other men. This pain now teaches others how to avoid the pain. His pain teaches others. Hitch teaches his clients what he knows will work, the maneuvering, the strategy of being with others. Everyone in the movie comes to think they have control over things until in best romantic comedy form, someone loses the control and they actually fall in love. The goofy guy forgets the rules and acts like himself. And his partner loves it. And this all clues us into the downfall of our main character when Hitch himself forgets that there's any such thing as pain and releases his heart to a life without his precious rules. Teaching was not hard for Hitch. It just kind of oozed out of him. What he learned from a bad relationship was very strong, very moving. So the memory of it, the learning, held close to him. So he made a life to accommodate these memories. He taught others how to overcome, maneuver, outsmart. So teaching his life story became easy. But you could say he wasn't living truthfully. The twists of our movie life are the best part, the aha moments. We've been set up to believe, like in a movie, and a character's purpose for living, that what they do defines them, and then something throws in a curveball, and then it comes out all right. So our life is the big teacher. Something happens to us, maybe when we're young. Perhaps like Hitch, we let it play out for a while until it doesn't work, or we have a nagging feeling, we're not happy, or someone who loves us has to get up the nerve to tell us about ourselves. Education comes from Latin educare, suggesting that we bring something out of ourselves, something is brought out from us. An educator brings from us what is inside of us, what is around us that we've soaked up, what she thinks might be important for us. It's all about ourself, yet is influenced by everything around us. It can be confusing between moving from who we are, who we need to be, with others. We are dependent on those that will share with us and teach us. We will dependent on those who will hurt us and love us. A romantic comedy scripts life so that we'll find out about our deepest desire just in time to get out of our own way and understand it. I don't actually have a script for my life, so I want to know now, would be good. I want to know about myself now. We're all teachers, people that show the world our values, and I think we want to know what is driving us or what effect we have on others now, not at the end of the movie. So let's ask ourselves some questions. What were 2 incidents in your life before you were age 16 that educated you? What were 2 incidents in your life that educated you as an adult? How many of these happened in what you would call a school? Which ones happened outside of a school or a class? Who are your teachers? Given all this, what is your real life definition of education? Thinking about these questions, I realized that my incidents were A, not in school, at least not in a classroom, although I had one on a playground and it wasn't very pleasant. And B, I realized they were not very intellectual incidents, but very emotional, visceral. This is the part of me I was unaware of, but that runs my life as a teacher. The best hope I have for kids that I teach and the people I meet is a mirror of my own child hope. It has less to do with intellect and more to do with emotion. At the end of the day, I will run farther, use more energy to make a group feel warmer or connected. My experiences later in life were very intellectual. So if we gather and feel more connected through reading Emerson or Tolstoy, that's good too. This is why I resonate with Unitarian Universalism. So we are highly intellectual, but we still need sustained emotional connection. We need it because, we do lose kids in Sunday school. We are the highest educated religious group in America, and we lose kids in our educational program. There was once a statistic that we have a 10 to 15% retention rate, meaning we lose over 80% of our children as they pass into adulthood. All churches do this, so don't freak out. It's okay. Every church has a passing through that children do. Whether these numbers are true, Maria Harris, in her book Fashion Me a People, thinks of education as the whole church. She says perhaps we lose sight of how educational experience is more than a school or a class, but it's in fact the whole of life. This stays with me because in all the lessons I learned as a child at my small Baptist Texas church, I remember less the class theology and more like waiting for the adults to finish their Sunday school so the kids could get to the donuts. Or I remember the large hands of the man at the beginning of the sanctuary. As you walk in, he's shaking your hand. He had these large grandpa hands and the large grandpa voice. It was very welcoming. The preacher was less welcoming. It was like a black robe, but he was always yelling at you, and that was not good. I probably went to seminary to get over that, actually. I'm going to reflect on that today. We use love to learn. This is what brings people into our religious home. This is an opportunity to learn about religion and find our own voice. But we would do well to step back, think about what the church can do for all ages, to maintain a community. If education is the whole church, then as a fellowship, we start with the largest pictures of ourselves. We're all teachers. We all create meaning with every gesture. If you've ever been around kids, you know that being yourself is the first rule. Kids want you to be yourself first. Whether they like that or not is not their business. But you've got to be yourself. The self that is familiar with that kind of education you received as a kid. You bring yourself to religious education class. And if you do bring yourself, you will have more fun. It will be easier. We will have more teacher volunteers who are not daunted with following large curriculum plans. This is a bliss like romantic comedy. A simple revelation of guy gets girl by just being yourself. The bliss of being an educated UU is through knowing your religion, being comfortable with it, and living it simply and assuredly. I heard an interview with an educator saying that until kids hit middle school, we really should just try to make church fun, not worry so much about getting our kids to be heavy religious seekers that we are. Then during adolescence, we focus on creating some meaningful rituals to give our youth something to use during what can be a trying, confusing time in life, something that will carry forward into a young adulthood. We all hope we can carry forward with what we create. After all, this is what we've been doing with our earliest memories of ourselves as learners, carrying forward ourself from when we were children, when we had our best hopes tied to a handshake and a smile. So let's consider the questions. 2 incidents in your life, you thought they were just far off questions, but we're actually going to do this. What were 2 incidents in your life that educated you before you were 16? Turn to your neighbor and share with them. Okay, you can also, if it's a little too much, you can try adult life, because there's 2 incidents from young adulthood. Maybe yesterday something happened. Incidents that educated you. Go. I will talk to Joe.
Y'all been here. Best lesson I ever learned. I was 11 graduation night.
Wait till they go and then I one time I went to my grandmother's corridors, I was 14. But I never told her that I didn't answer it. She said, take it. And I hit the garage looking at the recharge the trim on the road, driving in the garage. I don't think my folks ever found that out. My folks were no, she told me. But she didn't know I didn't know.
So I went around actually. So what's the thing in your life?
One of the benefits was that's where I got positive. So
That was
never any
remember a high school teacher. No, I worked with a geography teacher. And she talked about how you graduate your license and not become. I just remember that lecture.
See how they are?
No, I like the very loving.
Islands of liberal, conservative.
And you found it. It was the second. Yeah. One other role that happened my mother had.
5 seconds. In middle school. Wow.
That's the lights on and off.
Actually, in my room, I have a cowbell. That's the only way I get the middle schoolers quiet. Big cowbell. Would anyone like to stand and share? I can have 3 people stand and share if they want. Not at the same time. Wow, I really am in middle school. Thanks. You know, there's a guy in 8th grade right now named Jack. He's your counterpart. Okay? I just want you. Stand up. Let us know. Let us know. From right there. You're good.
I started to tell him I didn't get to finish. My mother had this close friend who, whenever any of my friends walked in the room where Rose was, those kids always felt better. But she made the statement one day that just knocked me over. And that was that she encountered a person that didn't like her. And she said, I was stunned. How could someone not like me? I thought everybody liked me. And I thought, whoa, I was coming from the different, once in a while I get someone who likes me, but
Nice. I had the same story as you. Number 2. Who wants to be number 2? Nobody. Okay. Thanks.
Actually happened twice. And what a builder of character that was for me. In grammar school, we were getting ready to graduate and go on to high school, and I was about 11 or 12, and Kenneth, handsome Kenneth from Kentucky, was 14, and I just liked him, and I traveled around like a puppy, kind of accidentally being where he was. And we sat down once at a fair that was going on, and he said, hey Dorothy, he said, I like you a lot, but I just don't feel that way about you. And I did not take that as rejection. I thought, my God, what a gift he gave me. Time to look for someone else, not to do Speedos. Now that happened again when I was a grown woman, and his name was Don. And Don was very compatible with me. He would like to become more attached, but I had to say, no, I have different wings. I'm going to go somewhere else. And he said, oh, that's an excellent idea, but keep me until you find that something else. So neither one of them engineered hatred or loss or rejection. I took none of that as rejection or loss. I said, my God, how wonderful you could tell the truth. And I remain that kind of realist ever since.
Wow.
Thank you. I'm glad
Thank
to
you.
share that.
Thank you. Number 3. Yes, sir. Terry's.
Yeah, I learned not to trust what teachers say. And this is it. I had a lay teacher in parochial school, and one day I asked, how did people keep track of the years before Jesus was born? And she said, well, they used BC. I said, I know we use it, but these people that lived before, how did they know when Jesus was going to be born? And she said, they had wise people who foretold it. So at that point, I kind of knew that it wouldn't make any sense trying to press it further. I just sat down and thought, no, something's wrong here.
Nice. Well, I think we're smart enough to know that teachers do the best they can and they're human. And in a dangerous profession where teachers learn just as much as the kids, just as we would learn from each other, in that kind of profession, teachers are vulnerable. And they're constantly venting about something, you know. But to parents, they try to put on, you know, good face. Johnny's different. You know, and we really are in it for the craft of being with the kids, and so we do enjoy it. It is a challenging place to be. But teachers are making it up half the time, too. You know, one step ahead. If I'm one step ahead of the kids, you know, that's good. So in that dialogue, it's not that the teacher needs to necessarily know more, but be able to facilitate more, be able to open each other up back and forth. Because I have plenty of middle schoolers who are smarter than I am. And I recognize that. I'm going to end the sermon with a duet that we didn't get to play during the offertory, but there's a better reason. Because it's a dialogue. I mean, there's no more pure way to discuss and to be with someone than to sense, how do you start the piece? You know, we're not going to count off 1, 2, 3. You know, we're just going to go. We're going to lift our bows, and the magic will happen, right, Joe? I hope so. And so it's the counterpoint back and forth. And so I think this is sort of a musical way of both of us educating each other. I mean, granted, Joe knows a lot more than I do, but you know, it's a great back and forth, and I think that's lost. I mean, people use the metaphor of orchestra and a conductor facilitating the orchestra of learners or something. I mean, there's a lot, I guess, metaphors, but a duet is, I think, the most basic, pure form of just a discussion between two people and the learning that happens. And if I miss any notes, she will not glare at me. You don't miss, she doesn't miss notes. Okay, but yes, and likewise. So thank you, Joe, for this learning that's going to happen in a minute.
Actually, I want to play a lake. You have to tell them.
The joys of being terminally small. Thank you, Michael. And thank you again, Joe. So please stand as you're willing and able and join in singing our closing hymn, number 131, Love Will Guide Us. Please join me now in reading the West Valley UU Church's mission statement. It's also in your order of service. This church provides a safe place to celebrate diversity, draw inspiration for living better lives, foster social and environmental justice, and compassionately support each other in our spiritual searches. We thank Michael Relland again for joining us this morning's service, sharing his reflections and his music. We also thank Jo for her music and for enhancing again our celebration with accompaniment as well as the duet. Duets plural today, I guess. And a thank you to Max and Sam for today's lovely prelude. Sam is coming back to play the postlude. Thank you to Lisa for lighting the chalice. To our greeters, Julie and Elizabeth, to the folks who set up the chairs and tables outside, and I know at least Bernie and Jeff were involved in that, and for all of you for sharing a little bit of your morning with us today. We close with the words of V. Emil Gudmundsson. And now may we have faith in life to do wise planting, that generations to come may reap even more abundantly than we. May we be bold in bringing to fruition the golden dreams of human kinship and justice. With this we ask that the fields of promise become fields of reality. All right, Sam. Whatever you play is fine.